Hey there everybody, my name is Tristan. Welcome to my channel. I'm into backpacking, camping, first aid stuff. I just recertified as an EMT. I'm just waiting for it to go back through the state process here in Indiana. And I know that it's been about a month since I put any content on YouTube, and I apologize for that. But today I am bringing a new love to my channel, and that is firearms. I have two so far. One I kind of inherited from my grandmother when she passed away, even before so she gave it to me, which is an old 22 LR rifle. I think it was made in 1970 circa, around that time. And then I picked this one up about a month and a half ago, and I do have a little bit of a backstory as to why I picked up a gun. I didn't really have much of a preference of what firearm I wanted. My brother had this type of firearm in the past. We're going to get into that here in a moment. But we're going to go through story time first. So I was out driving. As some of you may know, I do drive for rideshare services. And I had a situation late in the evening around probably 12 to 2 a.m. on a Sunday. And this rider requested a ride being picked up from a more rougher side of town, in a way to say. I know that's not exactly grammatically correct or what have you, but it was a rough side of town, and it took me back into an apartment complex, and the entire time I sat there for the whole minute and 30 seconds, which it really felt like 5 minutes from how long I had been there. My gut was telling me this is not a good scenario, this is not a good situation. I turned on all of my vehicle lights, dome on the back of my car, and the two lights that are in the front. I turned on my flashers, my high beams, and I had my pepper spray white knuckled in my hand just in case anything happened, because I had only seen two gentlemen walking back with hoods on in the middle of August or June, maybe more so July. Between that 3-month time period, I don't remember what month it was exactly. I'm pretty certain it was around July. But I saw two guys walking back to the same location I was going to. They had their hoods up in the middle of the summer, which doesn't scream very positive things. That doesn't scream they're going to do any good for me. And hearing about another Uber driver in the past who was shot and killed, and his car was stolen off the west side of town, so by a guy who just wanted to go to a family reunion. And for whatever reason, the driver didn't want to take him, so he shot him and took his car. But after that scenario, or after that situation that happened later at night, I decided, I think it was July 1st, because I remember getting my VA check and then immediately going to Range USA, or Point Blank Range as it used to be called, here in Indiana, or here in northern Indianapolis metropolitan area. And I picked up this. This is a Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0. We are clear here. There's no magazine in. There is no round in the chamber. You can visually and physically inspect that. Just going to do that here for you guys. And I do have rounds in my magazines. We're going to go ahead and unload those in here just a moment. But I picked up this firearm for a particular reason, and that is the external safety. The girl I was dating, we were going out a lot. We were on the town a lot. And I was consciously thinking about, like I do a lot, if she had to get this off my person for me in a self-defense situation. Let's say I had it at my 6 o'clock, which I never have it at my 6 o'clock. I have ingrained it to carry it at my 12 o'clock and my appendix carry. But let's say, for instance, I have to have somebody get the firearm off me because my hands are tied and they're in a blind spot or what have you. So I got that one with the external safety. It is large for appendix carry. I'm looking at getting a shield, Smith & Wesson M&P shield, because it's significantly smaller. It's like a 2.5-inch barrel versus the 4-inch barrel I have on this. It's a 9mm semi-automatic handgun, meaning that for each press of the trigger, it cycles one round. Okay. Now, just for safety's sake, let's go ahead and unload these magazines because I do not want any negligent discharges. So here's a little bit of ASMR here. and we are clear. I'm going to take these into the other room so I don't get confused. I do have 2 cases for my firearm. I've got this one, which I have inserts that I've cut shapes out of so I can fit a holster and 2 magazines and the firearm in. And then I've also got another one that's steel, that's basically bulletproof. That's how it's advertising anyway, that I can house my firearm in if I'm traveling or if I know I'm going over state borders. So let's go ahead and load these dummy rounds. They will not discharge. They are purely for dry firing so the pin doesn't become damaged. There's a little rubber piece on the back of it where the firing pin does hit. And we're going to talk about the weapon safety rules. Okay, so the different parts of a firearm. So this right here, let me zoom in. So now that we're in on the firearm itself, let's go ahead and take a look here. This bit here is the external safety. That is safe, you cannot pull that trigger. That is not safe, you can pull that trigger back. I have in the cock back position for this example. Here, right there, that is a slide lock. You push that down on either side and the slide goes forward and you get a chamber around it, which you can see the red in there, that's simulating the round. On the opposite side, right here, you've got the takedown lever for the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 compact 4-inch barrel. And how you do that is you're going to take the magazine out, clear the chamber. You're going to lock the slide back, just like so. I'm actually going to do it this way so you guys can see it more easily. You're going to lock it back. Ooh, I'm not left-handed, hold on. Jesus, okay, we're going to do it this way. You're going to lock the slide back, push it up. I don't know if you guys can see that move up. Then, on this side, you're going to push that down, send the bolt send it forward, and then you're going to pull the trigger. And then it slides right apart. And that's how you get to the internals of that firearm. In the firearm itself, you've got the spring, which is right here. Get the focus on there. And then you've also got the 4-inch barrel. It is all lubed up, it is cleaned, and if I have to use it, it's ready for some action. I've only shot it twice so far, and I've gotten a lot better, not only with dry firing. That's an important part, I think, of working out any kinks you have with shooting, whether it's recoil anticipation, trigger jerk, leaning left or right on any side. When you're pulling that trigger, which pulls the pistol, if you're pulling more to the left with that trigger, finger straighten off the trigger right now, but if you squeeze it and pull more to the left, it's going to pull it to the left. And then the same if to the right, if you're pulling it to the right. It's more of a push left, pull right kind of a thing. Okay, so now that we have the basics of this firearm taken care of, let's go ahead and talk about weapon safety rules. You have 5 major weapon safety rules. The first is how I remember it: treat, never keep, keep. This is how we were taught in the Marine Corps, and this is how I plan to teach people, whoever watches this video, in general. So treat your weapon as if it were loaded, or treat every weapon as if it were loaded. And this is kind of a blanket statement for the rest of them, because you don't want to be pointing or pulling that trigger thinking it's not loaded, because that can lead to disaster really quickly. Never point your weapon at anything you do not intend to destroy or shoot. So whether that is your dog, your TV, a person, a bottle, glass, a gas can, do not point your weapon at anything you do not intend to destroy. Because you have to also think about, for the 5th weapon safety rule, we're going to get to that point in a minute, and I'll explain that point when we get there. Keep your weapon on safe until you're ready to fire. A lot of firearms these days do not have an external safety like this one does. I got this for the particular reason that I don't know who's going to be handling my firearm in tense situations if I have to give it to somebody because they have a clearer shot, or if I have to have someone else take it off my body for any particular reason. I don't want them, with a lack of knowledge of trigger control, putting their finger on that trigger and accidentally pulling it. So that's why I opted for the external safety as a safety measure. And most of the time I carry it with the safety off because I have enough trigger control and trigger finger discipline to keep that straight and off the trigger when I don't want to actually either negligent discharge or not want to discharge in general. And keep your finger straight and off the trigger until you're ready to fire. So let's say it's loaded up. We're going to send that little red round forward. Until you're ready to fire on something, you want to keep it pointed down or in a safe direction. That's the first one, or that's the second rule. Never point your weapon at anything you do not intend to shoot. So everything on this table right now is something I would be 100% okay being destroyed. Everything's replaceable here, and it's clear of my lap, my dog's in my bed in that direction, so I know that anything on the other side of this table is also something I'm okay with destroying. And that leads us into the fifth weapon safety rule, is be mindful of your target and what lies beyond it. So I put myself through mental situations sometimes, saying like I'm in a restaurant. Sometimes I'll just go out to eat and give myself a mental situation. If someone came in with a gun and was attempting to rob the place or cause harm or dismay to anybody, and I had the option and the opportunity to take them down, and then I'll throw different things in there. Let's say there's a cashier behind the target that you're engaging. You don't want to shoot through that target and hit the cashier. You don't want to shoot through that target and hit a family of 4 or kill a kid or a dog or anything like that. Now, getting into the principle and law of dogs, it's not, unfortunately not, the same kind of life as a human. So you won't necessarily get as bad of charges if you accidentally kill a dog versus a human. But if you're not intending to kill a dog, that's when you can still get stuck with a negligent discharge. Or even if it's not negligent and you put somebody down that needed to be put down or disarmed, and you accidentally hit somebody else or something that can cause an explosion, that can kill somebody, you have to be aware of what lies beyond your target, which is where the training comes in. That USCCA, I'm not a sponsor or anything, I've just already joined them. I'm an elite program holder, I suppose is how you can put it. And I've been going through their trainings and learning a lot. And some of the stuff I already understood from the Marine Corps, like the 4 weapon safety rules, plus the 5th, plus what Castle Doctrine is, which is a law. It's basically stand your ground. If you're in your home or a vehicle and there's no way to evade the situation or get away from something, then you have to use force. If it leads up to that point. But you always want to give the other party as much room to move and get away as possible before you actually start engaging. Otherwise, it's going to look like it was not justified on your behalf, and they're going to try in court you differently. Now, with that being said, going through the training and gathering all the knowledge that you possibly can, such as the 7 justifications of using deadly force, i.e. a firearm or a knife or anything like that. This is not setting forward all the way. There it goes. The law behind it, the 7 reasons why you should use deadly force, the 7 levels leading up to the use of deadly force. I'm not going to put it in a PDF in the description because it's copyrighted by the USCCA, and I don't want to get screwed from them because they're a great resource to be able to use in conjunction with just a lawyer that you can pick out on their website, and then in-person training, learning how to use your firearm effectively and appropriately. But I guess this video was more so telling a story about how I decided to actually purchase my firearm. You do go through a background check. You do have to get cleared by ATF. I do believe it's ATF. It could be a conjunction of other agencies as well. And here in Indiana, I think it's Governor Holcomb incorporated the constitutional carry, which is the permitless carry, which took place on July 1st of 2022. And about a week after that happened or so, some of you may have already heard of this guy. His name is, I believe, Elijah Dickens is his name. There was a situation in Greenwood Park Mall where in layman's terms, aspiring mass shooter walked into the mall with an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle. And he started firing on the patrons inside the mall. Elijah Dickens was also inside the mall, and when he saw what happened, he pushed his girlfriend out of the way, took 10 shots at Elijah Dickens from 40 yards away, and put him down. Elijah Dickens, I believe, is 22. He's an Air Force recruit, and before he even went into the service, he's already stacking bodies. Now, the guy who walked into the mall with the AR-15 semi-automatic rifle, the same kind of rifle platform or build out, just in a rifle, probably using either 223 or 5.56 NATO cartridges or rounds. The semi-automatic rifle is the same as a semi-automatic handgun. On one press of the trigger, one round is expelled. When you get into burst fire automatic rifles, or burst fire rifles and automatic rifles, that's when it becomes more of a machine gun. And only military users and specially licensed and investigated people who hold the licenses to own these kinds of firearms are allowed to own them. Let's see, holsters. When I first got my Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0, I just kept it in the case wherever I went, and then if I was driving at night, which I typically do nowadays, or at least for a little bit because the sun's going down a little bit sooner since it's getting to be that part of the year, I carried this cheapo holster that I got for like 40 bucks. It worked for a while. It did the job since I do carry appendix. It was pretty comfortable. It sat pretty well, but it lacked the stabilization with this cheap clip. Oftentimes, if I did do pull practice here in my apartment, which I have a target set up over there, and I'm going to record some stuff later, probably like a lesson for utilizing dry firing and or just pulling your firearm for repetitions just to get the muscle memory in to learn different ways to do it. But the entire holster will typically come off my belt, which is not a preferred thing because now you got to worry about taking the holster off, and it's got great retention. There was a cardiac arrest I went to, and a guy had jumped out of another Uber. I got out of my car, I had 2 passengers in the back, and I took this out of my door and I put it on my belt in my appendix carry, concealed carry, and I ran to the dude that was super dead, and I started CPR on him. Medics called him seconds after they got there, but great retention on this. I got it dialed in pretty tight because I knew I was going to be running with this eventually, more than likely. And then after I discovered We the People holsters, again, I'm not sponsored by any means, but I do love this holster. It's a great holster. I bought this. It's got a more aggressive clamp right here. I don't know if you guys can see that where my finger is, but it's got a more aggressive clamp. It sits tighter against your body, and they also have different options. So if you have lights or red dot sights or suppressors or threaded barrels or anything like that, that'll allow you, they can customize your holster to fit that model, which I think is phenomenal. I don't own any lights or lasers or red dot sights yet, but I have been looking at getting one, either a red dot or a light or laser combo first. For the reason that I do work at night sometimes, I won't be carrying this while I'm on the ambulance for obvious reasons. That doesn't really scream scene safety. But all the other times I'll typically keep this in my car completely unloaded because anything in a hot car can and probably will go off if it reaches that temperature. But I do eventually want to get a red dot here. But that is the end of this video, I suppose. And just for a treat, I'll set up my camera and everything else and do some pulls for you guys, some unholstering work to show you how I carry appendix. That again. Hey, back up, man. I don't want any problems. I'm gonna go. I said back up. I just want to go home. I just want to get away from here. I don't want any problems with you. I said back up. Do not take one more step. Do not take. I said don't take one more step. Please put down the. Put it down. Pull up, rotate, rotate, push out. Let's do some quick ones. Safety on, chambers clear, magazine clear, and I felt that. That's it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this was informative for you guys. I hope I was able to teach you some stuff.